I'm upgrading some old videos to Adobe CC, and I want to update my video related to Plastic Fantastic. I like this particular tutorial because not because of necessarily the look of it, but because it does require some advanced skills dealing with layer styles. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and see how well we can do this. So if you have Adobe CC, you go ahead and open it up. So I'm going to use Adobe Photoshop CC 2018 is the one I'm using. One of the things I noticed is that when I use Photoshop, it's the things that I did on the old version are still there. So if you find an old tutorial, you might be going, well, that's like old Photoshop. Try it out. It may be pretty easy. So I'm going to bring over, when I get Photoshop open, this is what I see. I'm going to click Create New because I want to start a new project. And then it's going to open this little window. And I'm going to click on here. I'm going to click on Web. I'm going to do this Web Most Common. Click Create. Now, RGB color, 8-bit, which means that's 1 byte for each color channel. It still gives you millions of colors, so go ahead and do 8-bit. And then I'm just going to do white for now. I'm going to click, I'm going to name it right here. I'm going to call it Plastic Fantastic. And up here, and then I'm just going to do this width and height. I'm going to do it the landscape style. I'm going to leave the artboards checked. Everything else pretty much default. Just change the name. I'm using Web Most Common. Click Create. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Window. I'm going to go to Workspace, and I'm going to try Graphic and Web. I'm not saying you have to do this. But it is kind of interesting. So what we want to do is a couple things just to get set up. Number one, we want a background to sort of match this. The best way to know if you follow the tutorial right is to get as close to this final product as we can. So one of the ways we're going to do that is by having a background gradient that goes from this blue to this blue. And the best way to get it is using the color picker. So I'm actually just going to right click and copy that image right here. And I'm going to use it as a reference in Photoshop itself. So you just right click on an image that's on a browser, and you go in here, edit, paste, or Control V, and it drops it right in here. Now it's dropped it right on this background layer. Let me see if I can adjust a few things here in just a moment. Okay, so I adjusted the size here so it'd be a little better for the video to be able to see the text and all this. So the first thing I want to do is adjust my background layer. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the little color palette over here. In fact, I'm going to expand this a little bit. I'm going to grab this will be the foreground color, creates a color picker here, and I'm going to make this lighter color right about here. I'm going to use that eyedropper, click it there, gets that color, click OK. For background color, I'm going to click where it shows black and it says set background color. And now I'm going to click on the bottom right corner, so it's a darker blue. I've got all that there. So now what I want to do is I want to just do a background gradient. So I click on the gradient tool. I can type G to get it. I make sure that it's set to the radial gradient. So once you have the two colors set, you choose the gradient. You're going to choose radial. And you're just going to click right about here, and you're going to drag out to the corner, like so, and let go. Okay, I realized what happened. Once I clicked on here, I was able to click over here. That's the gradient I want. I didn't happen to look up here to see that it wasn't set right. So now I'm going to click and drag out. And I'm going to do not quite so far. And then let's see what it looked like over there on the tutorial that we had from before. And that's pretty good. I'm going to leave it like that for now. Okay, so that's our background layer. I'm going to take this layer 1. I'm just going to toss it and just drag it down to the trash. We're good on there. So let's go ahead and go back to the tutorial that we've got, and then I'm going to move this out of the way and just work on it. But if you want to take a look at it, you will see that we're going to make 2 copies of the same layer. One is going to have the green with what's clearly a gradient and a bit of a bevel and some other styles. And then on the background, looks a lot different. This actually is not the back. This is going to be on top of the other layer. Okay, so you need two different layers. Here's where it kind of breaks down. The bottom layer is going to have this inner glow, inner shadow, gradient overlay. And then the top layer is going to have more inner glow and a heavily modified bevel. Okay. So this shows you all the screen captures that we are going to do. The next step, what we really want to do is get nice, big, chunky text. So I'm going to move this out of the way, but you will note I'm going to be grabbing some of this information off of this layer style here. So in order to do that, I want to get my type tool. And so I click on the type tool. And like I said, I want to get some nice, big, chunky text, big, blocky, sort of a lot of times text that will say black is what we're looking for. Like Arial black might be a good one. If you see any of these fonts that have a little, like a breakout, you can take a look at bold. So I'll take a look, I'll find one, I'll show you what I come up with. I'm going to try the Gill Sans Ultra Bold. I want it nice and giant. I'm going to change the color in here just to make it stand out a little bit more. I'm going to grab this nice bright green and click OK. And type in here. Okay, I decided to come up with the word chunky. And I have to say it that way, chunky. All right, I'm going to get the move tool and move it around. Sorry, move tool, move it around. Somewhere around here. I can make this bigger, so let's do that. So double click on it. Let's increase it. Let's make it 155 instead of 125. Not 1500. That's better. Okay, now you might choose a different font, but nice big bold one will be a lot easier to see the effect working the way we want it to. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to go to the website that has this tutorial. I'm going to right click on the layer styles. I'm going to copy it and use it in here. I'm going to paste it. It goes onto its own layer. I can hide it, bring it back anytime I want. So the first thing I want to do is apply a layer style to the chunky text. Excuse me. To add the layer style, we just select the layer, and there's a little FX button down at the bottom. I want to click on it, and the first thing we're going to do is a gradient overlay, and that opens this up. And actually, I'm going to cancel this for a second because the gradient overlay, I'm going to use this for it. So I'm going to move this off to the side. I want my color picker to actually grab those colors out of there. So I keep that alive, layer style, gradient overlay. That pops this little window open, and we're going to set it to normal. And opacity of 84%. Nowhere does it say what the original color should be. I'm going to double click on the gradient, which opens up the gradient editor. So on the gradient editor, below are all the different colors. If I click on here, these are called stops. Each stop is where we have a new color, because a gradient is just a change from one color to the next. So I'm going to click on the first stop down here, and where it has the color, I'm going to click on that. I'm going to move my color picker over here and click on that green right at the corner. Click OK. I have another color stop roughly in the same spot as this. I'm just going to click on here, select that color stop, click the color here, move that to right in the middle, click OK. You see how this is working. And it looks like I don't have another color stop till the end. So what I can do is I can take this color stop and just drag it away, and it's gone. And I click on this color stop, choose the color, move over here, and click on this color on the far right, click OK. And I have roughly that gradient. I'm not sure how this looks until I put this back to normal size. Compare them, and it looks like there's more of a gradual blend from the far left to here. And then everything else seems about right. So one of the things I can do is I can click on here, and I can either move that to the right more, but I also have these little things here. And if I drag this over here, it's going to be a sharper increase as we get closer to that. Click OK. I'm going to mess around until I like this one right here. Looks pretty good. I think I can improve that a little more. Bring that back. Oh, that's a color stop. Don't want to do that. Click the color stop. Gets me this. Do it again. There we go. That looks pretty good. We're going to line with layer, give it a linear style, angle of 90, scale of 100. I'm going to keep that as it is. We're going to go to inner shadow next. So I click on inner shadow. I'm going to make this a blend mode of overlay. This over here is the color we're using. By the way, that color is 7CB777 is the one that I grabbed from here. I'll click OK. So I have the overlay. Opacity is going to be 100%. So I'm just going to type that in. We're going to keep, this time we're going to do an angle of -90. So that like basically aims it directly down. We're going to uncheck the global light. Oh, and it looks like we have to change that number again. Apparently we had to do the global light first, then do the negative. By the way, let's move this so you can sort of see what's happening to the colors on here. Let me uncheck that for a moment and then check it. Gradient overlay, uncheck it, check it. So you can kind of see how things are coming along as you go. So we need a distance of 2, a choke of 0, and a size of 6. The contour is going to be sort of a, what is this called? This is the contour. So it looks kind of like that. And then I need to double check the noise level in just a moment. So I'm going to take this layer and move it up. The noise of 0. I'm going to move this up so I can see the next round. And I'm just going to double click on inner shadow where it has the effects. Noise of 0. That's good. That's what we want. We're starting to see this take place or take shape. Now I'm going to do inner glow. We check it. Inner glow is going to be another overlay. So we're going to take the glow and sort of just drape it on top, so to speak. An opacity of 100%. A noise of 0. I'm going to check this over here. It looks pretty much the same. I'm going to click on here and just make sure I've got the same color. Yep, the color is just white. It's all F's. F, 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 F. It's also pronounced would be. There you go. Range of 50, a jitter of 0. It's not very jittery. We click OK. I think all my set. Oh, yeah, edges. Want to make sure edge is checked. The technique is a softer technique. 0 to contour is just standard contour. 50% 0. Click OK. Yeah, it's really starting to take shape. I'm going to move this up. I'm going to add bevel or bevel and emboss. This will be the last one we do on this layer. I'm just going to double click on the effects and it's bevel and emboss. I checked the top one, but nothing else. So we're only doing bevel and emboss, just this top one. And we're going to do an inner bevel, not an outer. Change it to inner bevel. We're going to give it a smooth technique. This depth, I'm going to increase the depth by 351%, so it's going to be more extreme. We're going to send the direction of the inner bevel as down, not up. And we're going to set the size to just 1, soften of 0. We're going to do an angle of 120. We are going to use the global light, altitude of 30. Gloss contour stays just like you see here. The highlight mode is going to be another overlay. It seems like overlay is the blend that is most often being used. Opacity is only going to be 2. And mode of multiply, but we need to get this color, which is most likely going to be black, which is all 0s. Click OK. Opacity of 0. Click OK. What just happened there? All right, I did something wrong on bevel and emboss. Let's see. I know what I did wrong. The shadow mode has an opacity of 100%. A 100% shadow. If I take that off and I go from 100% to 0, yeah. And then you can see it. Click OK. Yeah, that looks like it. Okay, so we're done with this particular layer style. All right, now it's time to make a duplicate layer. And on the duplicate, we'll add our own set of layer styles. So I'm going to right click on the layer over here, and I am just going to duplicate the layer. And it says chunky copy. I'm going to click OK. Notice chunky copy is on top. That's how I want it. But what I want to do is double click on effects and just uncheck everything for now. And then on this chunky copy, we're going to add a new set of effects. So I'm going to go back to the site, and we're going to work on this layer. So we're going to want to get these settings. I'm just going to right click on here, copy image, go back to Photoshop. And in Photoshop, I'm just going to paste it in so it goes in on its own, layer 3. And move this to the side. And so on the chunky copy, on effects, we're going to add an inner shadow. We'll start with it. And we're going to, guess what? Blend mode of overlay, once again. The color we're going to choose, wait, inner shadow. Oh, I just grabbed the wrong thing. Inner shadow overlay, click on here, click over here. We changed the color. This color is 79C472. 79C472, that's the color. Opacity 100%. This angle is going to be 84. I'm going to change the angle up a little bit. Excuse me. We're going to do a distance of 0, a choke of 0, and a size of 3. Contour, I'm going to change this dude up like so. So we click on the contour. I'm going to take this one here. I'm going to do a noise of 0. We're good on there. And then we're going to do bevel and emboss and contour. I'm going to check contour over here. Once I check it, I'm going to click over here. My contour, I want this to be this kind of a little slidey like contour like that. That's our contour now. And we're going to keep the range of 50%. We're going to check anti-aliased. We're so against aliasing. No, we're just anti-aliasing. That's right. Move this up. Now comes the fun part. Bevel and emboss contour. We're going to make a custom contour. I don't know why we didn't do that earlier. Oh, maybe that was, no, that was contour. All right, fine. And when we get to the gloss contour, we're going to click on here, and now we're going to customize it. So how we're going to customize it is we're going to take these little points here, and we move this out. You see where the center grid is? You can sort of see the center grid line. I'm going to go somewhere around here. I'm going to take this point. I'm going to drag it, if it lets me. Drag it over 2 to the left, down towards the bottom. I'm going to take this dude all the way to the bottom. I don't like the fact that this is sort of curved. I'm not sure how else to, oh, maybe that's what I needed to do. Hey, there we go. So we're going to drop it right at the center, right about there. So this is going to be our custom contour editor. I'm going to click OK. And then it's going to be inner bevel, smooth. I'm going to do a depth. Oh, check this out. This is where it changes dramatically. We're going to go from a depth of 1 to a depth of 970%. This is what I check off of there. So this is going to be key, that depth of 190%. Now let me click OK and move this stuff up. Oh, we are on the last one. We're only doing inner shadow and bevel and emboss. So let's do the rest of this. So we just double click over here. We're on the bevel and emboss. Okay, so we're at the depth. We're going to go up, not down. And then we're going to do a size of 98 pixels. And a soften of 0. And some of my students are trying to give me a seizure by their flashing light. And highlight mode is not going to be overlay, it's going to be screen. So we're just waiting for all this stuff to suddenly pop into place. Where did screen go? It's somewhere in here. Do we not have, wait, there it is, screen. I'm waiting for this thing to work. All right, opacity of 100%. Oh yeah, now it's starting to. And a multiply with an opacity of 0. Make sure this color matches. Probably does. Oh no, it's lighter. Global light, 120, 30. Click OK. Okay, so we got inner shadow, bevel, emboss, contour. Make sure I got that. Yep. Okay, I went into panic mode. I thought I was lost and thought my settings were off. They were not. Turns out that the color of the text in this top layer has a huge difference. And I had to go back and forth between the tutorial, the picture of it, until I could capture this color. So let me just show you what I did. I'm going to get the type tool here. I'm going to highlight this text. And you'll take a look. The color I chose here ended up being 4E5967. That's the color of the text. It has nothing to do with any of the layer styles. But when I change it to that color and I move it up on top, everything looks good. And so I'm just going to move it just up from center a little bit, from vertical center. And at this point, I think I have everything ready, so I can just do a save or a save as. And then in the save as, it lets me choose whether I do Photoshop or PNG. It's probably a good idea to have a Photoshop copy of it. So we'll call this Plastic Fantastic. Click Save. It pops this open. Just click OK, maximize compatibility. And then I'm going to do a save as, or actually I'm going to do an export as, and I can do PNG or JPEG. Or I can do save for web. If I do PNG, it's going to be a bigger file size. It will have the same amount of colors, but if you want basically to maximize the file quality, you may want to change it to a JPEG. One of the things about a JPEG is it tosses out some information you can never get back, but it makes the file size about like 1/20th the original size. So now this file, which is 1366 by 768, is only 109K. And you may choose to just export it and then export another version in PNG if you want. And that might be another way of doing it. So I click Export All, Plastic Fantastic. I'll get rid of this PSD and just click Save. And now I should have copies in my folder of that. So that should be under Pictures. Just drag this over my window. It does not want to move. Okay, when I'm done, there it is, plasticfantastic.jpg. Click it to open it, and there it is. All right, thank you so much for watching.